probably saw the bigger picture of me sitting on this horse. But what I wanted to let you know is a little bit about my history, because you may know they call me the Marlboro Man here at at our site here. And I want you to kind of know a little bit about the fact that how I got started smoking and the like. But if you'll notice in the picture here, you can see I'm sitting on a horse. Actually, I'm from South Dakota. This is a Black Horse Ranch south of Lemon, South Dakota. Within about 100 miles of where we're at, up there, it's close to Montana. There's a whole bunch of rodeo riders, some of the best in the world. But anyway, this was the summer. Actually, I was a dental student at the University of Minnesota. My t-shirt that I've got on there says that. And I started smoking, actually. I was in my early 20s, and but that was the summer I had started smoking Marlboros. Now, after I got started, it didn't take me long to get hooked to about a pack a day. But nevertheless, I ended up on this ranch for the summer, for 2 different summers. But this is after my freshman year at the University of Minnesota Dental School. And so I was a full-time smoker by that time anyhow. But anyway, you'll notice, actually this picture was taken by my brother, who is a professional photographer in this little dinky town. And he came out in his Henry J. car, which was not much of a car, but nevertheless, he came out to take this picture. Now you'll notice that there's a little wagon right here. That was the wagon, as it turned out, the guy who was the regular sheep herder of 3,500 sheep that had to be kept track of. He went to Belle Fourche, South Dakota, so not too far away, where he spent his entire year's salary on riotous living in just 2 weeks. But for those 2 weeks, I had to be the resident sheep herder. Now you'll notice I had a sheepdog here. That dog, the only thing that dog ever ate, ever I saw eat, was beans. I oftentimes tell people that, laughingly of course, that he was a jet-propelled dog. But nevertheless, that dog was a wonderful dog. But I love that horse. That was my horse for 2 summers that I was on this ranch, the Black Horse Ranch. It was about 25,000 square acres. There was 1 fence around the thing. I mean, we actually went on a cattle drive that summer and the like. But that was, but anyway, I slept in that particular wagon. And we had to watch the sheep in the morning and at night, because that's when they tend to move around. The rest of the day, you didn't do much, just kind of hang around. But that was the summer, like I say. Jim, the foreman, came to me and he said, "Doc," well, he knew I was going to be a dentist, so he started calling me Doc. He said, "Doc, you're a real sissy." And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, "You know, if you were a real cowboy, you wouldn't be smoking those store-bought sissy cigarettes. That's for women. Now, if you're a real he-man, you'd roll your own." Well, made sense to me. And so he taught me how to roll my own. Now, if you've never rolled your own before, you know, you may not know how hard this is to do. But because you expect your dentist to have a good pair of hands, I got good at it. I was pretty proud. Well, I was brought down a couple weeks later when Jim came to me and he said, "Doc, you're a bigger sissy than I thought." And I said, "What do you mean? I'm rolling my own." He says, "If you're a real he-man, you'd roll your own on that horse." Well, made sense to me. Now, see, that's the problem with people with addictions, because oftentimes we get into behaviors and we think they make sense, but those things can bring you down. Well, anyway, I got good at it. I was pretty proud. Until a couple of weeks later, I was on that horse, rolled my own, but what I didn't notice is that I must have not done a good job compacting the cigarette. So an ash fell onto the mane of that horse. Now, when it burned a hole in the horse bucked me off over the saddle horn, catching a certain part of my anatomy. You get my drift? There was a question within the next month whether I would ever father a child. Well, eventually I did, of course. Met a beautiful lady, Eventually we had four daughters and so on, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, the foreman, Jim, he said to me, he said, Doc, you gotta show the horse who's boss. You gotta get back on that horse, you know? Because you gotta show the horse who's boss. Made sense to me. So I did, but I'll tell you, the only thing that I learned from that experience was don't smoke on a horse. And I never did again. But nevertheless, I was a Marlboro Man for the following 10 years, on and off. Until one of my little daughters caught me out in the back. Of course, my wife knew that I smoked. I didn't smoke that much, but you know, one of the things we have to keep in mind that when we're smoking, we don't understand we've got a true addiction. But I just wanted you to know that story. I'm sticking to it because it was a true story and you can't make this stuff up.